AITA for getting my sister fired and saying something horrible during an argument. I, 18F, let my sister, 32F, borrow my car at 1:30 a.m. She promised to have it back by 6 a.m., but that didn't happen. She kept telling me she was on her way, but I later found out that wasn't true. Eventually, I discovered she left my car about 30 minutes away in a public car park, keys still in the ignition. I haven't been able to get it back yet because I've been working, and I don't have anyone who can help me retrieve it. I'm really stressed out about the car just sitting there, especially since I can't legally drive it alone yet. When I couldn't get hold of her, I called her workplace trying to reach her. That's when I learned she hasn't been showing up to her shifts and had told them that multiple family members, our mom, our nan, and her dad, had passed away. None of that is true. Her boss said they already had doubts, but I confirmed the truth and provided proof that everyone's alive. Because of this, she's likely going to lose her job. When we finally spoke, things escalated badly. We both said some horrible things. I told her I'd ruin her life by warning future boyfriends or employers, just an angry threat. I don't actually plan to do that. I also swore on my dad's grave that I'd never speak to her again. I know that was a dramatic and intense thing to say, and I regret it. For context, we don't share a dad. Mine passed away before I was born. She responded by saying I didn't even know him and had no right to say that, which really hurt. In the heat of that moment, I said something I truly regret, that I wished her previous overdose had worked. I didn't mean it, it was an awful, impulsive thing to say, and I feel sick about it. I've been carrying a lot of guilt for it ever since. Later, I also found out she wasn't just picking up weed like she told me, she was using my car to deal coke. I honestly don't even know what to say to that. I've gone no contact and told my mom and nan everything. But I can't stop thinking about whether I crossed a line, especially with what I said and what I told her job. So, comment 1. NTA. We all say things in anger that we don't mean. Apologize but then go no contact. Your sister sounds like a mess. You are only 18 and she is taking advantage of you. If she is lying to her job, not showing up, dealing drugs, it's not your fault if she loses her job. They knew she was lying. Unfortunately, you have to protect yourself from people like this, even if they are family. Best of luck. Comment 2. She is a mess and being around her is just going to pull you down. Don't take the blame for getting her fired because she could have very easily done it on her own. Try to forgive yourself for your words to her. You are clearly very frustrated with her and it's understandable that you were very short-tempered. Just try to move on and move away from her as quickly and as much as possible and get your own life back on track. Comment 3. NTA. You know you can get arrested for her dealing coke in your car. If she leaves Amy behind and you get pulled over too. Police could be watching your car for drug deals now. I'd have to report her and sell the car. WIBTA for going on a boys' trip with my longtime friends? I, 24M, am currently in a big argument with my girlfriend, 24F, about a trip I want to take with my group of guy friends. The argument began recently when my girlfriend, 2 of my friends, and I were hanging out. One of my friends brought up the idea of finally planning a boys' trip, something we've talked about since high school. Now that we're finishing uni, starting jobs, and earning decent money, it finally feels realistic. To clarify, this isn't meant to be some wild party trip where we're drunk the whole time, hitting up strip clubs or doing anything reckless. It's a simple vacation with some sightseeing, fun activities, and maybe a few drinks and good food here and there. Naturally, I was excited and said so. But my girlfriend immediately expressed that she didn't like the idea. She said she doesn't see why we need to spend that much time together as friends and that trips like this aren't part of her culture. That hurt, because I feel like no trip is ever a need, and that people travel because it's fun and meaningful. And if she wanted to do something important to her that didn't involve me, I'd support it without hesitation. We weren't even talking about planning it anytime soon, just possibly next summer, over a year from now. I've made it clear I'm open to arrangements that would help her feel more comfortable, regular check-ins, location sharing, limits on alcohol, many of which I already do. But she's not open to any of it. She suggested a 2-day version of the trip, but that changes the whole vibe. It wouldn't feel like a real vacation, just an extended version of our usual hangouts. I'd also feel guilty asking everyone else to cut it short. That doesn't feel like a true compromise. She's now said there are only 2 outcomes: either I don't go at all, or I do go. She'll start major fights before and after, and won't speak to me while I'm away. For context, we've both made mistakes in the past that hurt trust, no cheating or anything even close to that. Just regular duck-ups that happen in a relationship. We've talked them through, forgiven each other, and agree the damage has been 50-50. But it's clear that some of those issues still affect her feelings about the trip. For example, some comments/mannerisms from my friends crossed her boundaries in the past, and I didn't step in soon enough. I'm sharing all this to make clear that I understand where her discomfort is coming from and that this isn't just her being difficult. However, I'm feeling rather boxed in by the idea that the only solution where I'm not the bad guy is not going. Comment 1. NTA. The devil is in the detail. Sounds like you too have had your ups and downs. But end of the day, you should be able to go on a trip with your friends without her mandating half the crap you mentioned, let alone actively saying she's going to start major fights before and after, and won't speak to me while I'm away. If you do decide to go, time to put your foot down and just go. If she carries on acting like she is, then I'd question whether she's the right person to be in a relationship with at all. Comment 2. NTA, and I suggest you do some serious thinking about this relationship and set some boundaries, unless you want to be in a relationship controlled by someone else with no ability to make your own decisions. Comment 3. NTA, I'm in my 40s, married with a kid. Once a year I take a trip my close friends for long weekend. We rent the same cabin, hang out, go out for hike, play yard games, and catch up. I look forward to it every year and my wife has no issues with it. It's weird that she has such a big issue with it, and it's really unhealthy that she doesn't want you to take some time with your friends. AITA for not being a complete witch when men approach me. 22-year-old female with a 24-year-old boyfriend, dating for 1.5 years, who thinks I should be a bitch when men approach me so they don't get the wrong idea. I've told him multiple times there's some men you can do that to and there's some men you can't. I've told him about a couple situations of when I was cursed out, followed to my car, and even had a man from my freshman year of high school that I turned rejected block the exit to the library doors, calling me all kinds of bitches, all while a male security guard was trying to help me force the door open. He basically laughed it off like, yeah, men are crazy. He's made comments multiple times about how dudes still stare at me while we're out together, but he's never really heard me complimented constantly until this past month. I've started door dashing so I'm out more than before, and he stays on the phone while I'm out. With him on the phone he hears the men approach me. 9/10 I'm able to tell them I have a boyfriend. Sometimes they say they're usual, you can't have friends, and I say no and the conversation is over with. A couple weeks ago I picked an order up and the man there kept offering me free food while I waited. I turned it down, then he asked if I could take his number down. I laughed uncomfortably and told him no, I'm fine, I have a boyfriend. He proceeded to hand me the order with a weird grin saying, yeah, you are fine. I laughed uncomfortably again and just left and walked to my car. When I started my car I heard a knock on the window. The guy had followed me out to my car and handing me number on receipt paper. I said thank you and pulled off. My boyfriend heard the whole encounter and was mad that the man was so perfusive. He's halfway understood me not being a witch in this situation until yesterday. I had an order for the same restaurant. When I pulled up I mentioned to my boyfriend that I hoped the old man wasn't here. He asked where I was at and I reminded him about the previous time. When I entered the store the man was in the lobby. He instantly started grinning, asking how I've been and how he hasn't seen me in a while. I responded I've been, and yeah, I know. I told the cashier what order I needed and she brought it out. He said one more joke. I laughed then left. My boyfriend got aggravated telling me how I'm too nice and if I was meaner then he wouldn't feel comfortable talking to me. I told him I'm not going to be mean to a grown-ass man who followed me out to my car. I don't want the situation escalated. At this point there's no calming my boyfriend down. He tells me how his mom and sister is mean to guys all the time. I tell him I'm not his mom or sister and there's little he can understand because he's not a woman that's had to deal with this. There was back and forth but ultimately he told he doesn't want to be with me because I don't listen. I'm extremely hurt and just feel crazy because he absolutely feels as if I'm in the wrong. Comment 1. NTA. Your BF is more interested in his own ego than your physical safety. You are absolutely correct for trying to keep yourself safe in interactions with pushy or unpredictable men, and honestly, your boyfriend seems like he's one of them. Comment 2. NTA. How you deal with people is up to you. If you're not comfortable being mean, you're not comfortable. Also, holy victim blaming, Batman. Does he also think that women wouldn't be assaulted if they had just acted or dressed differently? Also, there are enough stories of men escalating that he should understand why you're careful not to take the chance. Dump this jackass and find someone with 2 goddamned brain cells to rub together. Comment 3. NTA. But you need to realize that your ex-BF did you a favor. He's really insecure and insecurity turns to control pretty quickly. You didn't allow yourself to be controlled or undermined and he bailed. I hope you can see that and thank your lucky stars for the bullet you dodged. AITA for telling my parents they are in the wrong for evicting me. I'm 21 and currently living with my mom and stepdad. I recently started a new job, and as soon as I did, they began demanding $600 per month in rent, even though I'd still have to follow their house rules and move out in 2 months. I wouldn't mind contributing under normal circumstances, but I don't have a car yet and spend over $800 per month on Uber just to get to work. At this rate, I can't afford rent and save for a vehicle. For context, my parents are financially well off, earning over $250,000 a year, plus rental income from a second property. I've supported myself since I was 16 through trading, but at 19 my mental health collapsed due to severe PTSD and OCD from childhood trauma. I checked myself into rehab, against their wishes, and while I've made progress, starting over, with a job, no transportation, and relationship stress, has made things overwhelming. My stepdad, in particular, has always been unsupportive. He's held onto resentment from my childhood and continues to treat me unfairly, especially compared to his own son. He once nearly kicked me out over a misunderstanding, asked me to take out the trash when I had an end-of-year project to do so I told him I'd have to do it later which he took as refusal. Meanwhile a week earlier his son got our house raided by selling drugs, and years earlier at the age of 11, he forced me into a military-style program where I was abused, pepper-sprayed while handcuffed as well as weekly beatings. I was non-aggressive my whole time there until they were shut down by authorities, worsening my PTSD. My mom tries to help, but her efforts are often overridden by him. Right now, I just need time to get stable, save for a car and get on my feet, without being pushed out before I can even stand. Comment 1. NTA, your obligations to your children don't end at 18. I've never understood this weird American POV, in other countries it would be unthinkable. Your parents have the space and don't need the money, don't they want their kid to be able to save for THR future? Comment 2. Get your important papers out of the house, check with friends and other relatives if you can rent from them. Or know of anyone looking for a roommate. Check into an electric bike or carpooling, you pay for gas and co-worker drives, so you have transportation for work. I get it is a bit overwhelming but you have a huge chance to do your own thing. NTA. Comment 3. You're obviously NTA. Wow. Your egg donor and her husband have been treating you like shit for most of your life, and now they're actively working to screw you over and put you on the street. I'm gonna echo several other comments and say you need to find a room or even a motel near where you work, ASAP.